Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. It gives me an honor to introduce Ms. Divya Bhatia, Director Yellow Tree. Ma'am holds a Master in Psychology and has specialized in clinical and child psychology. Ma'am has been a counselor to prestigious schools like Mayo School, Doon School, Loreto Convent, Bishop's Convent, and Army schools, conducting numerous career counselings and personality sessions for their students. Ma'am carries a rich work experience with world's second best organization listed on NASSCOM, WNS BPO, where as a senior trainer, she facilitated critical behavioral and communication workshop for all levels up to the middle management. She was specially deputed to WNS Sri Lanka to conduct high-end workshops on negotiation skills, coaching and mentoring. She was honored by the Management Recognition Award by the WNS Management. She successfully used her skills to complete a behavioral intervention Nirvana for a business unit in WNS. Her achievements include certificates in disk extending profiling, crafting white papers, lean cadet and instructional designs. Ma'am is dealing with clients like Government of UP, Vodafone, Legal Processing Outsourcing Organizations, Tata AIG, IBM, Hotel Brookside, and Principal Financial Services. Apart from training, her interests lie in listening to music and observing human behavior. Keeping her interest active, she has done first level of graphology and hypnosis. She believes that people sometimes limit their own progress by building barriers and self-defeating prophecies, and finds it extremely satisfying to guide them to overcome these for their growth and development. For ma'am, training is not her profession, but her passion. Now I request you, ma'am, to please enlighten us with your words of wisdom. Ma'am, the podium is all yours.
Okay, we are going to test a hypothesis. Ma'am believes that 100% of you are going to be awake for a session.
Good evening, everyone. Are we all awake? I could hear the CTs as well. Anyways, that's a huge welcome. Thank you so much. I don't know if it's me or what I'm going to... I'm good with this. Am I audible to everyone? Am I visible to everyone? Brilliant. I don't need a collar mic. Thanks. Okay, so the attention back to me. Well, thank you. Is that okay now? Yeah. Okay, well, it started off very well. I was called Divya Bhatia. I was declared dead, but fortunately, I'm still alive and I'm Divya Bhatia. Thank you so much, guys, and thank you so much, Dr. Singh, for a very warm welcome and that one-liner. It seems I really don't have to talk. I'll keep standing here for half an hour, keep getting all the claps. Thank you. Okay, no more claps, so let's stop now, okay? And also I would like to thank Shivam and Priya where you are. Thank you, Shivam. Thank you, Priya, for escorting us all the way here. Thank you so much. That's a wonderful job that you guys did. Thank you. Well, you know, and let me not forget thanking each one of you. You guys are being a brilliant listener. I believe you guys started at 8:45 in the morning. A big round of applause. It's important to be awake, and I hope you would be awake. When Dr. Singh called us and invited Yellow Tree for this conference, I was just wondering, what is that I need to really talk about? Or what is that I should talk about? The Generation X, you guys are well informed. You guys know everything, so-called know everything, or you believe that you know everything. You have your preferences, you know your likes, you know your dislikes, you know exactly what you have to do, and you have your expectations right. And best, you have Google, which we didn't have when we were growing. I thought, when we're talking about a leadership summit, let me talk about one aspect that you would need and all the future leaders would need. One aspect which is available so commonly, still so unexplored, still so untalked about, and that is emotional intelligence. Have we heard about this concept? Brilliant. So I don't know if you will be able to answer, but can somebody just shout out aloud what do you mean by that? Emotional intelligence? If you focus more on listening than seeing, you'll answer the question. Okay, so would somebody like to shout out what do you mean by emotional intelligence? No? Empathy. Okay, brilliant. Anything else? Talents? Feelings? Okay, brilliant. Feelings. Apps. I'm going to ignore that. Thank you. Okay, so emotional intelligence. Okay, I need the attention here, guys. Emotional intelligence is a very, very important skill that we all need. But why emotional intelligence? When we talk about leadership, we talk about communication, we talk about coaching, we talk about mentoring, time management, delegating, managing people, managing pressure, working under stress. And all these things are a category or fall under the category of emotional intelligence. Before really getting into what is EI, let me explain you why EI. The concept of EI was given by this gentleman, or was made famous by this gentleman called Daniel Goleman. He's supposed to be the founder and the father of emotional intelligence. And when he researched the importance of EI, he actually found that success, your success as a leader, your success as future leaders, 85% of it depends upon your emotional intelligence. Your IQ helps you get into the organization. The score that you get, the GPA score that you would have, it will help you get into the top bracket, the top brands. But what do we do thereafter? Can that IQ help me sustain in the organization? No, it will not. What will help you grow in the organization is your emotional intelligence, the ability to manage your emotions. And I come down to what is emotional intelligence. It is your ability to manage. Mind you, I'm not saying control. It is your ability to manage emotions. We all have emotions every time, every second of the day. And we all have emotions right now as well. I'm ignoring that as well. Yeah? What do you do with your emotions? That's important. You need to channelize them and not get emotionally hijacked, which the right side of my team is getting, really hijacked by the emotions. Don't get hijacked, because then you would have no control over your actions. My job is really easy here, it seems. Okay, so when we talk about emotional intelligence, guys, let me tell you, something that when I started working, and fortunately or unfortunately, I got to manage a team of people very early in my career. I say fortunately because not many people get that opportunity. Unfortunately, because I wasn't really ready for that role. I was just being an individual contributor, and thereafter I was expected to manage people. And people are the most complex machinery made by God. Dealing with them is really difficult. And that's what happened with me. I would like to probably narrate an incident that happened and then kind of wake me up. Once in the morning I came and I had a team of trainers reporting into me. And this young lady, she was working on some content, some PPT for us. And when she got that PowerPoint to get it, she just told me, she shared it with me, I found some silly mistakes. I could have easily ignored those mistakes, told her, you know what, we can do it later, we can sort it out later, but that did not happen. I shouted at her, I really criticized her, and in front of everyone. She listened to me, she heard everything I said, and she was quiet. My job was done. I have the authority, because I'm the leader, I have the authority to shout at people, and I exactly did that. I forgot about the incident, moved on, my day moved on. Next morning, that same lady requested me to have a meeting with her. She said, Divya, I need to have a quick meeting with her. I'd forgotten about what had happened the earlier day. I said, fine, let's discuss. What is that you need to discuss? We got into the meeting room, and to my surprise, she did not talk about the work. She talked about my behavior. She said, you know what, Divya, you might be a manager, you might be a leader. However, the way you treated me yesterday in front of everyone was not appropriate. You may have the authority to say, to shout at me, but imagine, are you responsible for your own acts? She said that and she left the room. It actually kept me thinking, yes, every individual has an ego. Every individual needs respect. We all have an esteem which we need to respect. As a leader, that's very important. You need to respect yourself, but don't forget, you also have a team of people reporting into you. You need to respect their emotions and them as well. I started thinking, why did I really shout at that girl? Those mistakes were silly. I could have easily ignored them. After real deep thought, I realized that that particular morning, I've had a fight with my husband. I could not manage the emotion, I could not control the emotion because I had to rush to work. With the same emotion of anger, I came to my work. And when I came, what do I do with anger? I display it on somebody who's weaker in some capacity. Weaker doesn't mean physically weaker, but here weaker means somebody who was low in hierarchy. And I could easily throw my anger on that person. Why am I talking about anger? Because that's the strongest emotion we all have. And when we are angry, we really don't know what we are doing. We have no control over our actions. And moving ahead with anger, Aristotle, he was the mentor for Alexander the Great, and he had a brilliant quote to anger, and he followed it to the T. He also helped Alexander. I'm good, thanks. He also probably preached and mentored Alexander to follow the same. I'm going to read it out aloud to you. He said, be angry with the right person, to the right degree, at the right time, for the right purpose, and in the right way. If we do this, our anger would be channelized. Think about the last time you really got angry. I'm talking about this particular emotion because this comes naturally to all of us. Think about the last time you got angry and you wondered, why did I do that with my best friend? Why did I say that? And then you go back and apologize, yaar maaf kar de, gusse mein to pata hai kya hota hai, pata hi nahi chalta. Why not manage our emotions in the first go? Everything is in the mind. You operate from your mind. Your mind forces you to do the right things and the wrong things. That is why we have serial murders. That is why we have rapists. That is why we have the drug addicts. That is why there are people who are kleptomaniacs. Because they have no control over their emotions. They get emotionally hijacked. Mind you, the term is, they get emotionally hijacked by their emotions, positive or negative. Even if they're positive emotions, you need to manage them. If they're negative, you better manage them. I was just going through the Daniel Goleman book, a book written by Daniel Goleman, and there was a very interesting article or interesting interview. While he was doing research on emotional intelligence and the concept of IQ, he actually interviewed a serial killer. This guy had murdered or brutally murdered his family, his grandparents, his wife, his 2 young children. And there was a cold-blooded murder. After a couple of years, Daniel Goleman went to interview him. And when he was trying to interview him and he tried to figure out what kind of a personality this guy has, this guy had an IQ of 160, which is way beyond a high IQ person. A 160 IQ, a genius. But why did he brutally kill people? Why is that? He could not understand what he was doing. Because he was hijacked, he was taken over by his emotions of anger, jealousy, so on and so forth. And when you become leaders, right now you are individual contributors. As you grow, as you get into the organization, you would start your life being an individual contributor. You would not start managing people immediately. But as you grow, you would have to manage people. From managers, you'll become leaders. And as you grow, the dynamism is going to change. The people you deal with would change. You guys are smarter than us. When you manage people, those guys would be smarter than you guys. That will be a generation Y. And with change in technology, with change in expectations, with change in the stress levels that we have, we all have to be mentally strong. And what gets us mentally strong? Our emotional intelligence. And I'm going to reiterate that IQ would help you get into the organization's friends. That's all. Nobody has ever grown in isolation. Be it Tatas, be it our Steve Jobs, Warren Buffett, or you name any individual, any great leader, Mahatma Gandhi, Martin Luther King. They all knew they have to do something. They all knew they have to achieve something. They had the passion. They had the heart into what they have to do. But they never grew in isolation. They wanted their people to be with them. Because these leaders knew what they were feeling at that point of time. They were aware of themselves and they were aware of others as well. And that's when we say high EQ individual is not only aware of himself or herself, is also aware of people around him. If my subordinate is upset, I need to know why is he upset. If my subordinate, probably if my colleague has got a promotion or my colleague's project has been selected, okay, great, I am feeling jealous right now. It's absolutely fine to have emotions, good, bad, ugly, but you need to be aware of them. Why am I feeling jealous? Why am I feeling angry? Why am I feeling upset? What is the trigger point? What will I do with this emotion? You give it a thought, you will start channelizing your emotions. And mind you, the best creative work has always happened when people have been extremely high on any emotion. Because they channelized it in the right direction. And as the leaders of today, that is the most important skill. Because you would be dealing with yourself and with people. So why bother to develop our EI, or emotional intelligence? Some great figures I have, and these have been taken from the Harvard Business Review. Partners in a multinational consulting firm were assessed on EI. Those high on EI secured $1.2 million more profits. Analysis of 300 top executives who showed certain EI competencies were distinguished as star performers. National insurance company agents weak on EI sold an average policies of 54,000. Sales agents high on EI achieved, the figure is right there, The Center for Creative Leadership identified that the primary cause of career derailment amongst top executives was the lack of EI. And this is a very important point, you know. Geniuses are not always successful. There might be people in college, they would be doing brilliant work. They would get an A, they would get a rating of 5.5 or 9 on 10, but they're doing brilliant. But when it comes to corporate world, something goes wrong. But sometimes my average performers turn out to be the gold mines. They outshine everyone. This is because these guys were strong, were mentally strong. They were able to sustain the stress. They were able to channelize what they were feeling. They were the leaders of the people and for the people. And these figures that you see, they're just not random figures. These are the figures that's a reality. And you need to create your own reality. Nobody is going to create it for you. Sitting here, I think for 3 days, 4 days is commendable. But what are you doing in these 4 days is also important. Is it because you just have to sit, that's why you're sitting here? Or you let the feeling of boredom at times takes over you and you don't know what to do about it? Or you figure out, what can I do with this information? Because this kind of summit may not happen again for you guys. You have 2 years, make the best use of it. Your roots have to be strong. You have to be strong. And in Yellow Tree, we truly believe you can only do justice to people if you are strong enough. If you aren't strong, you can't help others. So when you talk about being high EQ individual, that also talks about being strong. What happens when we have emotionally intelligent leadership? It leads to improved performance. Everybody wants to work with that leader. Not out of fear, but out of respect. We all want a healthy working environment. Nobody wants to be under stress. It leads to better or more effective leadership. Better teamwork. You have to work in a team. If you have to align your goals to the organization goals, you'll have to work in the team. You'll have to see people, the future of the organization, and how and when organization grows, how these individuals would grow. Improved motivation of self and others. You have to be intrinsically motivated rather than expecting others to motivate you. And that's one competency of emotional intelligence, to be intrinsically motivated. It's very easy to say, you know what, my friend did not pat my back, my leader did not pat my back, my colleague did not tell me that I have done a good job. But ask yourself, do you believe in yourself? Did I really do a good job? If you agree to it, you don't need any other motivation. Self-motivation is the biggest sense of achievement. And enhanced innovation. You have to be innovative in this dynamic world. If things remain the same, then there's a problem. There has to be constant innovation of things, of leadership styles, of individuals.